Hi and welcome along to AFTV Transfer Daily, the show that keeps you up to date with players that have been linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. Mikel Arteta yesterday in his press conference seemed to be getting a little bit agitated about the questions being fired at him. Listen, these questions are going to be fired at him every single press conference of the January transfer window, especially when no signings have not been made yet. The question in hand was about, are you bringing in a forward player? You know, are you looking to get a striker in? What's happening? Those sort of lines. I didn't really like those questions. He reiterated to the journalists, of course we are trying to sign players. Of course we're looking for targets. We're short up front. No Saka, no Jesus. We're trying every day, he said, to get a striker in, but it's not dependent upon him. It's dependent upon the market and all stuff like that. But he seemed to be getting very agitated. And there's a lot of people sort of in the social media circles and media circles saying, was he sending out a signal to the board that we must get these players in? It seemed, you know, in his tone that he sounded a bit frustrated, and he sounded like the signals that we must get a forward player in before the end of the January transfer window. I'm glad he's thinking like that, because that's what every fan is thinking. Surely anybody with any sense is thinking that. Are the board going to support him to get this signing in? Because it's not going to be cheap. It's January, you know what I mean? And in January, signings do not come cheap. They are very expensive. Matheus Cunha, of course, is one of those signings that Arsenal said to be very interested in making. And it was interesting to hear his manager in his press conference yesterday saying that, you know, he's spoken to Cunha. Cunha is dedicated to playing for the club. He's going to put the effort in, because remember they had that falling out last week when Cunha came off. He was very upset about it. And the manager was basically saying, listen, I spoke to him and said to him, this can't happen again. Seemingly saying yesterday that all is well, everything's been resolved, and Cunha has pledged his dedication to playing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. However, one of the things that he didn't say was he didn't give any information on Cunha signing this new deal. He was just basically talking about on the field, and he's saying, you know, listen, what happens off the field and, you know, that sort of stuff, I don't know about, but on the pitch, he's dedicated. All right, we know that, but will Matheus Cunha stay at Wolverhampton Wanderers this January transfer windows? Arsenal interested, Nottingham Forest interested, Newcastle said to be interested as well as some clubs abroad. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this situation come the end of this January transfer window. But Arsenal still interested in signing him. And with Jesus being out, he'd be the perfect replacement for Jesus. This one yesterday came from David Ornstein. He tweeted out yesterday, or X'd out, whatever you want to call it nowadays, that Sverre Nypan is in talks with Arsenal. Now, we've spoken about this one a couple of times. I even spoke about it on yesterday's show and said that the rumours going around is that Martin Odegaard himself have been speaking to Nypan. Nypan, of course, is Norwegian, very similar in his trajectory at the moment to Martin Odegaard. He's very, very young. He's been doing it from a young age. All the clubs have been watching him and been interested in signing him. Now, David Ornstein claiming yesterday that Arsenal are working on a deal to sign Nypan. They've been in talks with Rosenborg, his club. They've also been in talks with the player himself about a move, and they are, you know, very, very interested in getting it done this January. He's a prospect, still only 18 years of age, but Arsenal would like to bring him in. However, Manchester City also very interested in signing him. Fabrizio Romano, the other big ITK out there, he X'd out yesterday that Manchester City had invited Nypan to their training ground. He's said to be in the UK right now. They'd invited him to their training ground for talks. They would like to sign him and then send him on loan to their parent club, Girona, with a hope of bringing him back later on. So he seems to have a choice, Nypan. It's Arsenal or Manchester City. It's going to be very interesting to see who he chooses. of course, Arsenal don't have that option of having that parent club where they can send players out on loan to only for them to bring them back or to buy them back very, very cheaply. They don't have that option. But what they can offer probably to Nypan is a clear pathway to the first team, because we've seen a lot of young players now come through and be playing. Mars Lewis Skelly, Wanyeri, Saka, you know what I mean? Martin Odegaard, he didn't come through the ranks, but brought in as a young player and really given his chance at Arsenal. So going to be interested to see what the new Martin Odegaard, Sverre Nypan, does. Will he choose Arsenal or will he choose Manchester City? Igor Jesus still getting linked from Botafogo, still getting heavily linked with a move to Arsenal today. The Brazilian striker who was originally at Edu spotted him when he was at Arsenal. Still interested in Arsenal, and they still could make a move for him this month. Not a prolific goal scorer in the Brazilian league, seen as a prospect. Arsenal don't really need prospects right now in that striker's position. I get it if you do sign a player like that, but they need a ready-made player to come in and hit the ground running, as Mikel Arteta has, almost literally been saying in every press conference. What about Antoine Senenyo of Bournemouth? Now, he's been having a real breakout season. Bought from Bristol City in 2023 for around about £2.5 million. That's it, right? Now said to be worth, his valuation is around about 30 million. But if Bournemouth sold him, they'd probably be looking for around about 50 million. He's been having an outstanding season this year. 6 goals and 3 assists in that right wing position. You see him when he plays. He's a real handful, real handful. He's quick. He's strong. He really is an outstanding player. Ghanaian international, born in England, but Ghanaian international. And he is interested in Arsenal. Arsenal are interested in him. Of course, they're looking for a player that can cover that position of Saka, take some of the workload off of it. I don't even think nowadays with a lot of players, even if you've got a big main player in front of you who plays in that position, you're still going to get a lot of game times. With the way in which the Premier League has changed, the amount of games teams like Arsenal have with the Champions League as well, with the fact that you can bring on 5 substitutes in every game, Semenyo at Arsenal, even if Saka was fit, I think would get a lot of game time. Now, Arsenal said to be interested in signing him. However, Bournemouth wouldn't want to sell him. He's having a breakout season, as I said. They've got a chance, an outside chance of getting into the Champions League, definitely a chance of getting into the Europa League the way they're playing at the moment, and he's a key part of that. Would they want to sell him this January transfer window? It would take an offer of around about £50 million to tempt them should Arsenal make a move for him, but he really is a good player and a player that I think can get better and better. But Antoine Senenyo, interested in Arsenal, according to Court Offside. They're the ones who've come with the rumour today. And what about Oleg Zinehenko? Yesterday, I told you about the interest from Borussia Dortmund and how they are interested in signing him. But the Sky Germany journalist, Florian Plettenberg, he has put it out there that they're not the only club that's interested in signing him. Atletico Madrid also interested in Zinchenko's signature. Arsenal looking for around about 20 million euros. That's around about 17 million pounds to let him go. They paid about 30 million for him a few years ago. But definitely a few clubs now interested in Zinchenko this transfer window. And Arsenal may be willing to get those funds in. Of course, Mars Lewis Skelly stepped up to the plate on that left-hand side. And you've got Calafiori and Kivior who can all play that position, as well as Timber. Ben White is on the verge of coming back as well. So Arsenal might be really willing to cash in on Zinchenko. But it's going to be really interesting to see if he's still an Arsenal player come the end of this January transfer window. So those are the rumours for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to tune in again tomorrow. We're here every day until the January transfer window closes on the 3rd of February. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.